Well, Ukrainian President Zelensky has held a phone call with French President Emmanuel Macron. During the phone call, President Zelensky asked for more air defenses and missiles. This comes as earlier President Zelensky had asked US President Donald Trump for providing weapons to secure the Ukrainian airspace. The talks of air defenses have gained prominence after several drone incursions in the country at the eastern flank of NATO and European Union. Currently, Ukraine is using the Patriot system for their air defenses, and there have been reports that say these systems are underperforming against Russian weaponry, and therefore Ukraine is seeking advanced weapons. Mr. Raymond Vickery, former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce, is joining us from Washington, D.C. at this point in time. Mr. Vickery, always a pleasure to speak to you, sir. Well, there is a bit of a confusion, at least in my mind. You know, just a while ago I read that Mr. Zelensky was keen on speaking with Donald Trump on persuading Vladimir Putin to come down and clamp down on the war. On the other side, we are reading reports that he wants more weaponry from the Americans. Of course, that's going to make the military-industrial complex extremely happy, but it's not going to do much for the people of Ukraine who are dying in this conflict on a daily basis.
Well, thanks very much for having me, Vineet. I think it's absolutely the case that this conflict, the invasion by Russia into Ukraine, seems to have taken a back seat, particularly for the Trump administration as it works on Gaza. When you look at the numbers of casualties, they are 3 to 4 times greater in regard to the Russian invasion of Ukraine than Gaza. And you have the question of nuclear weapons, strategic weapons involved that you haven't had in other places. So this is a very great concern to not just Europe, but the entire world. And in order to wage peace, like wage war, you have to have a strategy and you have to have partners. Unfortunately, we do not seem, with the Trump administration and in the West, to have a strategy. And in the absence of a strategy, working together with partners, you get President Zelensky trying to go it on his own and secure the most firepower that he can. This is no way to end the worst violation of the UN Charter since World War II. And it requires that this conflict be put back on the front burner. And it is plain from Putin's perspective that he does not intend to stop here. He's probing with various incursions into airspace, in the use of drones, in hybrid warfare, if you will, versus Western Europe. So this is still a very serious matter, and it's not sufficient just to request more weaponry for Ukraine. There has to be a strategy, there has to be comprehensive partners. And I might add that India has a role to play here, going to host Putin in the coming month, in first part of December, have a relationship to try to bring about some semblance of order and return to
So we have more to talk to you about. In fact, in Ukraine's Donetsk region, the front line has turned into a dangerous 20-kilometer wide strip as Russian first-person view drones increased in range and effectiveness. These attacks are causing a growing number of serious injuries, including severe shrapnel wounds and cases of tissue necrosis, placing immense pressure on frontline medical services. The impact extends beyond the battlefield. In nearby Kramatorsk, authorities have ordered the evacuation of families with children from certain neighborhoods. Once a symbol of resistance against Russian forces and pro-Russian separatists, the city is now facing frequent shelling, making everyday life increasingly unlivable. As the strikes continue, fear and worsening conditions are forcing many, particularly the elderly and vulnerable, to leave their homes in search of safety. Let's listen into some of the reactions that have come in.
Ну, з осколковими, переважно з осколковими. Є кульові, але дуже рідко. Ще трошечки. Ну, я думаю, що зараз трошки менше поранених, того що важча евакуація і, мабуть, менше військовослужбовців.
Виходить так, що поранені можуть евакуйовуватися довгий термін, там 5 днів, тиждень, можуть бути на позиціях, це якщо вони виживають.
4 місяці.
Да, хтось там,
Поранений 4 місяці?
Да. Хтось може бути і місяць, да. Там от у хлопця була поранена нога, так вона в нього геть і відсохла нахуй.
Well, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance says that the